Okay, should race be considered in college and university admissions? Canadian universities don't have race-based admission policies, but a lot of American schools do. And the U.S. Supreme Court is going to be considering whether to ban the practice after a group of students argued Harvard holds Asian Americans to higher standards and enhances chances for Black and Latino applicants. So do you think that race should be getting a factor when it comes to getting into a university or college?
So this is an issue where they're trying to attack academic affirmative action, right? And the people who are mounting this lawsuit have tried this before with a white student taking it to, through the legal system in the US, and they were not successful. And in this case, it seems to me and to a lot of other people that they're now redirecting their efforts to pit one marginalized group against other marginalized groups. And to me, that will only benefit white supremacy. So I have serious doubts about the people who are behind this movement, whether or not they actually have the best interests of people of East Asian descent at heart. And I am a person of East Asian descent. Of course, I'm hoping that East Asian people have the same opportunities, but you don't want it to come about this way. And just a quick backgrounder on the people who have organized this lawsuit. One of the lawyers, he is also behind the systematic dismantling of the Voter Rights Act of 1965 in the US that was supposed to help people from marginalized communities have a say in the electoral process. Through his and his team members' efforts, gerrymandering has persisted in dividing regions, electoral regions, so that they favor white voters over marginalized voters. This is the background of the people who are doing this lawsuit. I don't trust them, and I do not support these efforts, even if supposedly they're in favor of Asian American students.
I want to bring back to Canada for a second, because as shocking as that story already is, the fact that Canadian universities, in fact, there was a study of many of them done just a few years ago, and the vast majority, I think well over 85%, do not collect any race-based data at all. And why that is shocking to me is we have talked a lot on this show about the pipeline between education and then leadership positions down the road in the workplace. And we know that there is just systemic racism completely built into the education system right across this country from the elementary level. Just a few years ago, the Toronto Catholic District School Board, they had been collecting race-based data, and they found things like Black students, much higher percentage being pushed through the applied streaming line, which we know is now going to be dismantled in Ontario. When you do that, you actually down the pipeline reduce the number of Black students who are then applying to post-secondary education like college or university. They also found art schools in this area much more catering to white students. And again, that then played out. Who is applying to universities and colleges? So if you're not collecting the data, then how do you know, A, what the problem is? And then how do you find a solution? And it comes from universities. The irony here, I don't know how it's not, I mean, it's just not lost on me. Yeah. Universities are places of higher learning, institution, intellectual curiosity, data collection. We help, politicians create policy because of data, because of science, because of research. And you're not collecting any research about your student body. So how do you know what the problem is? And therefore, how do you know how to fix it? It is high time. Not just me thinking that, but the Ontario Human Rights Commission says it's not only permissible to collect data like this, it is absolutely necessary.
Yeah, it's an argument that activists have been making for decades that seems to keep falling on deaf ears. But if we look at what's happening with that case in the States, I think a lot of that stems from this weird idea that people have about inclusion and diversity, and that somehow it means giving somebody an unfair advantage. But I think people mistake that because they confuse the difference between equal and fair. And when I'm doing anti-racist education, I have a lovely demonstration I use, particularly with kids, so kids can understand. I take two glasses like these. This would be a privileged glass. Now, if you don't understand the concept of privilege, Google unpacking the invisible knapsack, and that will show you what I mean by privilege. So this privileged glass, this is an underprivileged glass. If I treat these glasses equally, and I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to mess up this beautiful shirt, but let's say I added exactly 1/2 liquid, 1/2 cup of liquid to both glasses. That would be treating these glasses equally. This glass would overflow. This glass would still not be full. So you can see that equal does not mean fair. And while kids don't know about activism and all that, kids know even Stevens. And one glass overflowing and one glass still not full, that's not even Stevens. And I think that's the basis of it.
Great analogy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like, there's so many thoughts that are coming to my mind about this. And excuse me, I will just say that I wonder if there are differences in the American examples. I think about the Ivy League structure, which I think of as an extremely white sort of pipeline. When it comes to kids who go to private schools, we saw the scandal that happened among Hollywood actors who were getting their kids into these schools paying extra versus an everyday school. So that's one situation. And in Canada, again, I do think it would be very interesting for all the reasons, Mel, you said it, but I do have to wonder if it would be different depending on the school you're looking at. Obviously, we don't know. I'm just going to speak anecdotally. I went to York University for my undergrad, and it was extraordinarily diverse, both among the faculty and the student body. But you're right, Mel, in the sense of I went in the arts, there was a little bit less diversity in that department. So you have to ask yourself why. It would just be the more you know, the more you grow, as you say. So I do think that we need to look at this because the fact is that we're not seeing still diversity at the highest echelons of corporate structures. And that, to me, is a problem that starts at the education level.
You're absolutely right.